For our challenge, I wanted to create the perfect city in City Skylines 2, a utopia where 100,000 happy people could live together in a green, pollution-free city, with low taxes, free education, cheap public transport, and plenty of attractions and entertainment. The main question is, can it be done? Can I build the perfect city where I would be happy to live in? Well, grab a cold one, sit back and get cozy, and let's find out. The first thing you have to do when building your perfect city in City Skylines 2 is to decide where to do it. There's plenty of options and I settled on Waterway Pass, a nice flat map bisected by a large river. It had all the necessary outside connections and plenty of natural resources. I named my city Soto Sopa, left the natural disasters on, told the game I was a pro, and then it was time to play. My beautiful city was not a city yet, but just one road tickling a busy highway like a slimy tentacle and a certain Japanese anime. I started with a small loan of 500,000 credits, and the first thing I built was a roundabout at the entrance of the city. Then I built a couple of wind turbines to produce electricity from a green and renewable energy and keep the water clean. Well, if we ignore our sewage. Here comes the poop. Let's go. At this point, first houses were slowly being built, so I decided to focus on industrial area so the people would have a place to work. I built a small industry on the other side of the river, and then this happened. Oh, look at that, our first people are moving in. As my first citizens settled in, Soto Sopa hit the first milestone. Look at that, we are now a tiny village. We got 600k and extra stuff. That allowed me to unlock a crematorium, which I built right next to the clinic in case something went terribly wrong. Then I built a huge garbage island right next to the wind turbines. Yes, Soto Sopa was totally gonna be green. But the people living on the other side of the river didn't need to know about it, and in any case they happily continued to move in as I extended the residential district with our first row houses. I tried to make it pretty by building 2 cul-de-sacs, but let's just say they were as pretty as my French. But at least they brought the city to its next milestone. With that, it was time to add education, so I built a small primary school, and with such amazing amenities like schools, crematoriums, and garbage dumps, I felt it was time to raise the taxes. Which didn't stop the people from moving in, so more power to me, or I guess more money. Population grew, I zoned more areas, and it grew some more. With over 500 people living in Soto Sopa now, I had to give them the option to enjoy shopping centers like we got various Burger Kings and Neckbeard Mike's Comics here on the Laurel Street. My next big project was the riverside, and I built a long quay all along the river, where I planned to build larger residential buildings which led Soto Sopa to a large village. That allowed me to build a firehouse and police station in the city because there were more than 1,000 people living here now, so who knew what kind of weirdos might show up. And if those weirdos were looking for work, I built a giant stone quarry next to the garbage dump because if the dust doesn't get you, the smell will. I then bought additional land plots for future expansion, but first, the city needed an intellectual expansion, although some lessons had to be learned the hard way first. Oh no! There's been a car crash! Well, you guys should pay more attention to what you're doing on the road. The city expansion soon led to Soto Sopa's first landmark, our first signature building. Got 16 residents and 1 dog. And then to the next milestone, a grand village. I was now able to zone office areas to give people an alternative from working in retail and hating themselves or working in industry and hating themselves. I also unlocked my favorite building in City Skylines. Oh, we also have parks. Let's go, it's time to build small parks. Let's just say I built a lot of parks, and with that, Soto Sopa crossed the 2,000 population mark. Next, I unlocked trains, zoned my first district, and then I embraced my inner farmer and built a bunch of grain farms to feed the city, but then this happened. Oh boy. Oh no. This is not good. Luckily, it swirled away into the distance, catastrophe averted. Next, I built a bus depot and I introduced the first public transport lines connecting the residential district with the 2 industrial centers, which brought Soto Sopa to its next milestone. That then unlocked the internet, which made the residents of my city very happy, and many a man failed the No Nut November challenge on that day. I then built a recycling center, which was totally inadequate to deal with the garbage mountain right next to it, but it made me feel good that I'm doing something green. Next, I decided to play with trains. I built a depot and then a cargo station next to the industrial district, which I then connected with neighboring cities for easier imports and exports. Wow, that is an absolute mess, and I love it. Delivery trucks started queuing up instantly, and I enlarged the industrial area even more. On the other side, the city Patan continued to grow, resulting in Sotosopa's first proper traffic jam. Population continued to grow and industry was booming. Alas, the city was still in the red. So my next plan was to harvest the vast forest on the other side of the river with thousands of tons of wood reserves that could be turned into sweet money, showing everybody that Sotosopa is all about that green boom. It's time we take our education to the next level and build a college, which is huge. Which is what she said. I needed my people smart so they could continue producing sweet surplus of goods, and with over 5,000 people living in Sotosopa now, I needed a lot of goods. The next service I set up was post service, which to be honest, I still don't actually know how to properly set up, but people seem to be happy, so I must have done something right. I then zoned more low-density residential areas, which unlocked a new unique building. Ooh, rock musician mansion. Let's grab that. Next, I built a welfare office to help the poor by hopefully throwing them in the river so wealthier tax-paying citizens would have a place to live. And to bring them in, I built a passenger train station which I then connected with the two outside cities, and pretty soon we had hundreds of people waiting at the station. Next, I focused on the industry sector again, and I built a new direct connection to the highway. The land around was also very fertile, and I built a huge vegetable and cotton farms to shore up Sotosopa's remaining deficits. I also built a small village next to the farmland, forgetting that the wind was blowing the air pollution in that direction, but hey, a couple of sick people to hit the next milestone was a price I was prepared to pay. Next, I began working on a new residential district that would have its own highway connection, and that required me to move the railway a little bit. Let's train. Oh boy! The new district ran parallel to the old low-density homes, and because I didn't want cars to be crossing between the two areas, I connected them with a tram line and then zoned some medium-density homes. I also built a new school, multiple parks, and finished the Riverside Quay, which held the new tram line. At that point, Sotosopa was close to 10,000 residents, and our city wants everything. So I started zoning. Soon the city crossed 10K, and I added a new unique building amongst the apartments. First trams went out, and I added more civic buildings, offices, and apartments, and if we ignore traffic accidents and occasional fires, Sotosopa was living the life. We're a big town, let's go, we got millions, love to see it. That unlocked high-density residential areas, but for now, there was no demand for it. To change that, I decided to bite the bullet, spend $1.5 million credits, and build a university, as the city had 600 residents ready to enroll. Sotosopa was actually in the green for the first time before that, but that uni pushed it back into the proverbial red. But I wasn't worried. Unlike real-life governments, I actually wanted my people not to be stupid, for which I was soon rewarded. Ladies and gentlemen, our first skyscraper is being built. And that was just the first of many. Even though crime was rampant with so many people living together, it was worth it. I built a new unique office building, then I upgraded Sotosopa's college before noticing I was ignoring the little farming village. You guys seem to have some water issues besides the air pollution issues. After building a new water collector, I decided to splurge and unlock tiles all the way to the sea to connect Sotosopa's 15,000 residents with the ocean. After some heavy terraforming, I then built a passenger dock and connected it with the outside world. On the other side of the river, I placed a cargo dock as well, and then I connected it with the cargo train station for easier transport of goods. With exports flowing, I then spent way too much time building a heart-shaped quay around the small lake next to the university, which unlocked the next special building. Ooh, Baltar Pines. Let's go. I decided to make the area behind the uni a new, quiet, low-density district, and that brought Sotosopa to the next milestone. But while my citizens were very happy, they had some complaints about healthcare, forcing me to spend big money on build a proper hospital, which in hindsight I should have probably done sooner. I then unlocked some more useful buildings for the future, the most important one being the subway, which I knew I wanted to use to connect the whole city eventually. Now, what shall we do down Here is the question. That area was my next focus, although I did rename a certain polluted village into Six Springs first because in my head, canonically, that's where Kenny's house would be. I also zoned a couple of small houses in the Great Forest across the river to breathe some more life into that area. Then I began building a buffer zone between the city town and the port side of town, which included a brand new college because at almost 20k population, Sorsopa desperately needed another one. What the hell is going on right now? The structure is being damaged by weather? What kind of weather? Ignoring the mysterious event, I noticed that the new influx of people meant the unemployment rate was soaring, and I couldn't have that. So I expanded the industrial area next to Six Springs to give people more jobs, and the village more lung cancer. But it was all worth it, as unemployment dropped all the way down to 3% in no time, and with that issue solved, it was time to make port side of town a reality. I spent way too much time working on Riverside Quay, but it turned out pretty nice. I upgraded the road leading into the port to a 6-lane, then I began zoning some shops along the river. I added some parking and trees, then I built the subway yard, so I could connect the whole city. That brought Sorsopa to level 10 milestone, which meant I could now zone high-density office buildings, so I plopped down a few, then went back to working on the subway. It took me a while, but soon the whole city was part of the grid. Okay, we have our lines well connected. And so the first trains went out to pick up the happy citizens. Sorsopa now desired everything, so the first thing I built was a city hall in what was to be the portside center. Then I began zoning new, big, thick skyscrapers with a beautiful view. So from this high-rise area, you have a beautiful view on the cargo harbor and a recycling center. The smells must be really nice. Cramming so many people in that tiny area meant some traffic jams as they all moved in, but that also meant Sorsopa hit 30,000 population. Alas, many people meant a lot of food was needed to keep them happy, and Sorsopa had a huge deficit of grain. Lucky for me, there was a nice fertile patch next to the cargo harbor, so I focused on that next. I built a few wheat farms and created a new industrial district so people living in port side of town would have a nice, easy access to new jobs at the brand new green chemical plant. And so it went. I built more homes, and then I built more industry and offices, and then I built even more homes, and so on, until Sorsopa almost ran out of water because I wasn't paying attention like a silly Billy. I also added police headquarters and a school to downtown, then I finished it with 2 fancy signature buildings. I wanted another highway access to portside to spread the flow of traffic a bit more, so I built a new giant intersection next, which also allowed me easy access to nearby reach ore deposits in the future. And there we have the first cars coming up here. And those first cars brought the population of Sorsopa all the way to 40,000. Well, if we count the wildlife as well. Why is there deer on the road? What the hell was that? Come on! Deer were a perfect showcase of how green the city really was. Alas, I had to embrace just a little bit of pollution as I connected those rich ore deposits via the new highway, and that gave us a surplus of ore and coal. But once again, I noticed our need to import grain, so I built more farms across the river for wheat, veggies, and livestock production. Alright. Chicken farms. Next industry focus was oil, which was the last resource Sorsopa was not producing. There was a small patch of black gold close to the heart-shaped pond community, but I was sure I could keep the pollution away from their homes. I built 2 refineries, then I decided to give it some time to see what effect that's going to have. In the meantime, I built 2 small communities next to the harbor as a pretty counterweight to the densely populated port side of town. Air pollution from oil didn't seem too bad, so I added 2 more refineries next and some basic industry, which meant I went overboard and the stink was closing in on the town, but that brought me to the next milestone. I then added a subway connection to the industrial harbor side and connected it to the city. I also unlocked a medical university because I felt all that air pollution needed some studying to convince people it's actually green. Yes, I was becoming a full-on El Presidente. But indeed, the propaganda seemed to be working, as the oil pollution reaching the homes around the new uni never really caused any issues. I added even more farms. Let's go. More food for the people. Then I unlocked a central bank and used it to extend the downtown and also Sotosopa's export income. Portside was now filled with traffic jams, but that was natural as the city hit 50,000 population, halfway to my main goal. But a lot of people meant a lot of garbage. The old landfill was filled, so I decided to create a new garbage island with a new landfill and a place for more recycling. That was not very green of me, so to balance things out, I built a giant solar power farm right next to it. After that, it was time to focus on city again. I have to say, this area here is one of my favorites. Like, I just love the mess of, you know, having the railway going straight through here. Then we have this road just going up here. There's another road down below. There's housing right here. It's just a mess. And I absolutely love it. While I love the port side, I had a plan for the hill across the river, so I dug a tunnel under the water to connect to it. Port side of town was feature complete now. Many people lived there and they were loving life. But what do happy people need the most? Tourism. And as the new milestone popped in, I unlocked air travel. The hillside was a perfect place for the city airport, complete with a rail yard connection so passenger and cargo planes could fly to and from it. But I didn't just want Hillside to be airport only, so I unlocked tourist attractions next. I built a bronze statue and observation tower overlooking the river, then I spent the next hour making the hillside looking good. I built a small district around the attractions, beautified the place with trees and bushes, and soon the invasion began. Oh, holy shit, look how many people are coming from the subway. Are they all going over here? They're gonna check our bronze statue? Maybe. Or they're just gonna go shop at road garbage. That's a perfect shop. My next plan was to go to rural areas, so I unlocked a bunch of new tiles. First, I focused on more oil production next to the river, which totally shouldn't affect the water flowing past the city at all. Nope, Sotosopa was all green. And to showcase that, I wanted to build a small rural community on the outskirts of the town. A little village complete with a giant cemetery, primary school, and a film actor's mansion next to the big park. A beautiful safe area called Cozy Junk. There we go, there is our rural area and the Cozy Junk. I really like the stuff that we have over here. Some buildings are still being built. Alas, those pretty farms were not enough to feed the 69 nice thousand people now living in Sotosopa. So I decided to extend the rural area further into the more fertile hills. I built lots of grain, vegetable, and cotton farms and gave Cozy Junk access to public transport. And very soon, more people moved into the extended district. I do love this farmland. I think this looks really neat, really cool. Just some small suburbs with lots of farmland. A perfect cozy home for awesome people like my subscribers. And if you feel like Sotosopa could be your home as well, then subscribe now and join our cozy community on Discord. With a Cozy Junk now also feature complete, I built some more oil refineries which unlocked a new special building, a vehicle factory, and the next milestone. Sotosopa now counted as a grand city. I unlocked a server farm for better internet connection and a prison for better crime disconnection, and built both of them just outside the city. We only have 41 people that are gonna go into the prison. That being said, I still want to increase their well-being, so we're gonna build this. Because you know why? I'm a nice guy. I also unlocked some new farmland and the next area I wanted to expand towards. I built a new highway junction next to the OG farmland and zoned a small area for some medium density residential, where I built a new high school with a beautiful stadium behind it. With the road infrastructure complete, the people were eager to move in. Oh, look at all these people already coming in. And as the snow covered the roofs of brand new homes, it slowly started to look like a proper new district. I built 2 bridges to connect it to the industrial area on the other side of the river and built more offices for those who preferred not to commute far away. And then this happened on the highway. Oh no, there's a pickup on oh, look at this. Oh, this is some proper crashing. There's like 3 fires. Needless to say, that was pretty bad, but still, hordes of people wanted to visit the new area and the public transport was bustling, which was no surprise as Sotosopa was now at 80,000 population. And now we were in the final stretch, and it was about time I destroyed 6 Springs. I built a small new district next to the river further down south and named it the New 6 Springs. It was cozy and nice, and most importantly, all the pollution here was situated in and around the new primary school to educate kids about the importance of green. And the old Six Springs was soon transformed as well.
Where once there were homes, now we got farms.
With that complete, I decided to focus on the last high-density area of Sotosopa. I built a new quay next to the river, added some shopping stores along the way, and then began zoning in residential.
Our new high-density shenanigans coming right over here with the look on the new Six Springs.
That caused some electricity issues though, so I kept it green with geothermal power plant. Then I decided to build a new port on the river, which brought Sotosopa to a metropolis. I connected the new port to the outside, and soon the first passenger ships arrived. I wanted the new area to look special, so I unlocked the disease control center next and plopped it down right in the center, and then added some parks in front of it. I designated it as the new district, and soon it was full of residential and office skyscrapers.
It's very green, look at that. Sotosopa has now officially reached 90,000 people.
And all of those people were happy. Right across the disease district, I then mirrored the little parks and built the big police headquarters, which I felt made for a really nice city center in the new area. While the riverside was full of tall buildings, I wanted to fill the area behind the police headquarters with row houses to give it a bit more contrast. While those were being built, I then connected the new port and its built-in bus station to the rest of the city for tourists and the industrial district for workers.
Look at our new black buses. It's got passengers.
And as the black buses went out, I built a new signature office. At this point, I had over 90 million in the bank, so I wanted to fix the last issue that was making my citizens unhappy, the high taxes. I dropped them back down to 10%, and just like that, they were super happy, and one of my main goals was achieved. The new row houses were looking nice, but the disease district was attracting lots of people, and a lot of them coming through one junction was causing a lot of traffic issues, which was no wonder as my second major goal was also achieved and Sotosopa reached 100,000 citizens. The city was green, so the last thing I wanted to fix was the unemployment, and I started with a new university.
Let's build technical university that we have not built. Ooh, we got oil refinery signature.
And that refinery went straight to my oil fields. I then spent way too much time building a new highway junction that connected to the port and allowed me to work on a new small industrial area. That brought in new jobs to the people, and just like that, the unemployment began dropping rapidly. People were happy, the city was booming, and I had plenty of money in the bank. Oh, and besides some air pollution around the now demolished Kenny's house, Sotosopa was green.
I think Sotosopa has been a great success. Thank you for watching.